37% of Gen Z are teetotal. Show me someone in your life who isn't experiencing a moment of stress every day. We're the fastest growing food and beverage company in the UK in the last 16 years.
Welcome to The Big Question, the series from Euronews where we delve deep into the world of business. Today I am joined by Olivia Furdy, the co-founder of Trip, the UK's largest independently owned soft drinks brand.
So thank you very much for joining me today. For those who aren't familiar with it, can you explain what Trip is?
Trip is a wellness brand. We have a range of functional drinks with lots of powerful plant-based ingredients as well as supplements, gummies, powders.
So your drinks kind of sit broadly in the non-alcoholic, alcohol-free category.
Exactly, yeah.
How big is this market in Europe?
Huge. So functional drinks, as they call them. In Europe, it is a 32 billion euro market, which is very exciting. It's a huge market and we're seeing massive trends and shifts in preferences around people seeking specific alcohol alternative products.
Interesting, okay. And this, as you called it, functional drinks market, you said it's worth 32 billion euros. How has that developed over the last 5 years and what's the projection going forward?
So that represents part of the broader soft drinks category, and some of the longer standing segments within that you might be familiar with are things like energy, drinks that have benefits, so something that has an added ingredient to help your mind or body function in the way that you want it to. So energy is probably one of the more familiar categories, but in soft drinks more generally, those functional categories that Trip is leading, for example, calm or relaxation, is incredibly new. Trip is only 5 years old. Our work in Europe specifically is less than that even. So it's very much early days, but indicated as a key driver in the overall growth of soft drinks.
So then looking a little bit at your personal story, you founded Trip back in 2019, and then you've seen some kind of phenomenal growth over the past 2 years. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I'm on a mission to create these moments of calm and everyday chaos. It's been going 5 and a bit years now. So we've grown incredibly quickly. That comes with its own challenges, but it's been an incredible journey. We sell in over 30,000 stores across Europe, the UK, the USA. So we're the fastest growing food and beverage company in the UK in the last 16 years. We've topped the Sunday Times 100 twice, which is unheard of. So you can imagine the kind of hecticness that comes with that. But we've raised over 25 million euros of funding. We are the largest privately owned soft drinks company in the UK with big ambitions across the US and Europe, so very excited.
What do you think has really driven your success as
I
a
would
business?
say everything about the product we are obsessed about. It's got to be the most delicious drink you've ever had, not the most delicious functional drink, not the most delicious healthy drink, not the most delicious low sugar drink, the best tasting thing you've ever had. Same with the brand. Every touch point needs to tell you a story, because we could never make health claims, we could never explain a lot to customers about this entirely new category and the benefits it had. We had to use everything about the brand to translate that, whether it's the calming pastel aesthetic, it's the shape of the can, the feel of it, the size of the bubbles, everything about it we thought, is this a calming bubble or is it literally product obsessed? But that all comes down to making sure we can help the most number of people with their daily chaos.
Do you think there is a movement away from alcohol consumption?
Yeah, I think it's helpful to also break it down by demographics. So there is a general trend in January at the start of the year, particularly supported by the work that the Dry January campaign has done to facilitate people looking for options. It's easier than ever to find something alcohol alternative. There are many people projected to have participated. In 2025 in Europe, it's 17 million participants. But beyond January, I think as we all know, there is a greater shift towards moderating alcohol intake or assessing different ways to drink more healthily. Gen Z in particular, when we're talking about alcohol, 37% of Gen Z are teetotal.
Wow.
In Europe, 41% of people who don't drink alcohol are under 35. It's definitely a younger demographic. I don't want to say trend, it's factual, it's customer behaviour.
Yeah.
And actually, even above that, while some of the older generations have a longer history or culture of drinking, we're seeing that moderated within those demographics as well. So it's not just something for January, but the younger generation, particularly Gen Z, are very excited about alcohol alternatives and actually are a big proponent in choosing where the group might spend their evening or their weekend. So it has a big impact in the retail and hospitality sector as well.
And how do you see this market continuing to develop?
The Gen Z trend that I mentioned, that customer shift where they're looking for alcohol alternatives, they didn't grow up going to the pub looking for a gin and tonic, so they're not looking for a 0% gin and tonic or a alcohol-free gin and tonic. They're looking for something completely different, and that is exciting because that's where Trip comes in and where we can cater to this really evolving need.
With the functional drinks market being so deeply linked to this change in market of people moving away from alcohol consumption for socialising or relaxing, we've seen other drink trends when, you know, there was a point where coconut water was everywhere, or hard seltzers were going to be the next best thing, and they kind of boom and then they disappear. Do you think the functional drink space has potential to be not just a fad?
Definitely. I think if we zoom out from functional, there's a broader conversation about health. For me personally, I've noticed a lot of narratives and engagement since COVID, and the understanding that what you consume directly impacts your mental health and your physical health. That goes beyond January, and that goes beyond fads and trends. I say to myself, show me someone in your life who isn't experiencing a moment of stress every day. And sadly, whether it is your mum, your friend, your colleague, the bus driver, we all have these feelings of tightening, of overwhelm, unfortunately. And you can't control the outside world. And unfortunately, I think the way the world is continuing to evolve, the scary landscape that we're looking at on a macro level, it's always going to be there. So there's always going to be that need, I think, for this sort of exceptional product.
Thinking about expanding into new markets, are there any difficulties, particularly with maybe restrictions around CBD, for example?
Yeah. Well, every market has different regulations with that specific ingredient, but that is one of about 7 functional ingredients we have in our products, and each one actually does often have a nuance from a regulatory perspective. CBD specifically is quite challenging when you're looking at an international framework. It's essentially a patchwork of regulation. Obviously with a background in law, it's helpful to break that down, but it definitely is more challenging, I think, than the typical food and drink sector. I think the US versus UK is a good example where it's quite different laws. I wouldn't say it inhibits growth, but it's definitely costly to not be able to consolidate your operations and your supply. But I think the opportunity in those markets is so great, we don't really see it as a challenge.
And finally, what advice would you have for those who want to start a company or who want to grow their business?
I would say double down in what you care about. Why are you doing the thing that you want to launch? Because there are so many people that tell you it's not possible. Right at the start, I had no idea how hard things could be, or the challenges that you have to go through. And I think some of that naivety is important to retain your energy and your passion, to be honest. But staying true to why you want to do what you do, because there will be days where it feels quite tough. So being able to hold on to your reason that is bigger than the moment, bigger than the day, or bigger than the problem, I'd say is pretty important.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me today, and thank you for joining me on The Big Question.
Thank you.